My name is Kannan Pashupathy. I'm a director in the research organization at Google, and I'm delighted to welcome Indra, Rahwa, Omar, and Ana, 4 students from the Oakland International High School, and their technology teachers, Sailaja Suresh, and the school principal, Carmelita Reyes. I heard about this school about a year and a half ago or so while watching a program on television, and decided to go visit them because it seems so unique, and have been really impressed with the work that they do. So on the basis of that, we asked them to come here and actually talk about their school and their experiences. I'll do a little bit of a high-level overview of the school and then invite Carmelita to actually talk about it in more detail and introduce the students. So Oakland International High School is the first public school of its kind in California, unique in that 100% of its students are immigrants, and over 90% qualify for a free or reduced price lunch. Of the 320 students served by OIHS, nearly 1/3 hold refugee status, and many more have had interruptions in their formal education, having escaped ethnic conflicts and severe poverty in places like Liberia, Nepal, and Burma. Only 6% of English language learners in Oakland in 2008 were eligible for admission into the University of California system at the time of graduation. And this year, as OIHS prepares to graduate its first class of students, at least 60% of their seniors are eligible for admission to the UC system. And due to the great work done by the OIHS staff, the students are able to overcome the tremendous obstacles in their lives and graduate high school to pursue college educations. And the teachers hold top-tier degrees. And I've really been impressed with the dedication that they show to the welfare of the students and to see them succeed. I'd like also to add that we have different programs that we're trying to do with the school, and if any of you who are engineers are interested in volunteering your time to actually teach programming classes that we're attempting to work with them on as well, then I'd be very grateful. So with that, I'd like to invite Carmelita to come up here and just start with the introductions and talk a little bit about the school, and then open it up for a conversation.
Good morning. I am here representing a lot of teachers who did a lot of hard work to open a new school for immigrants in Oakland 4 years ago. This is a group of children that historically in the United States, in California, and in Oakland have been underserved and have not reached their potential. Newly arrived immigrants who come into this country at age 14, 15, 16, in general, never graduated. They had too many obstacles to graduation, English being just one of them. And in Oakland, like I said, the majority didn't graduate. And so about 6 years ago, it started a conversation about what are we going to do differently to create opportunities for students who, through no fault of their own, only due to the immigration process at a particular point in their lives, really were set back, and not just one individual student, but the next generation. So what we did is, in Oakland, was reach out to an organization called Internationals Network that had a lot of success in New York City working with immigrants and refugees. And we opened a school in 2007. And we started out with 58 students and 6 teachers. And now we have over 300. Our students come from 31 countries and speak 29 languages other than English. And they all bring tremendous strengths. However, what they don't have is English, and a large percentage of them don't have technology skills. And those are the 2 things that we focus on in their instruction so that they can be productive in the United States and have access to college. So I want to tell you a little bit about our students. Some of them are beautifully educated in their home countries. They just don't happen to speak English. And others come with huge gaps in their formal education. Maybe they went to 2nd or 3rd grade in Guatemala and have not been in school since. We have students who are Iraqi refugees, a student who was hit with a roadside bomb, and he has lost an arm and an eye, has shrapnel still lodged in his brain, has brain damage. So we have students who have tremendous needs, but also have tremendous strengths that they can bring to the United States. And so what I'm here to do today is to talk a little bit about who these students are, engage you in a short conversation about what are the needs of these students, and then I'm going to introduce some and a teacher who will talk about technology and how we're using it to build tremendous workers and thinkers and learners. So what I'm going to share are some immigration stories that our students wrote in their first year that they immigrated. And if you could, hey Rahwa, give one to each person. And everybody should get a different story. And I'd like you to spend 1 minute just reading the story of a particular student. And what I'd like you to think about is what are the supports that that child may need, aside from the obvious of needing to learn English. And if you could turn to your neighbor and do a very brief share out of who that student is and what you think they might need in a school and in a support structure so that they could be successful in America. In the interest of time, I'm going to cut off the conversation, but would anybody like to volunteer something they think that a student might need? The teacher and me can come out. I can start pointing at people and calling on them. I'm picking you, yeah.
I think our conversation definitely revolved around emotional supports and explanations about the differences in culture and the differences in sort of their lives, and also maybe the similarities. And so some sort of emotional support, whether it's counseling or whether it's friends or family. So that's what our conversation was.
And over here, this group, what were y'all discussing?
Challenges faced by undocumented immigrants, that they have to worry about whether they'll be able to get a job, whether they could be deported, whether they're eligible for financial aid.
Yeah, these are just a few of the problems that our kids have. Actually, these documents have been tremendously helpful in eliciting some of these challenges for our kids because they don't come with you know, an index card saying this is my problem, please help me with it. And so we have to discover it, and often language is a barrier. There's one student here who wrote his story about his father being a police official in Morocco, and that the family was threatened by terrorists. And so their family was sent to America to keep them safe, and their father was still back in Morocco. When he first came, all he could say in English is, "My father, policeman." And so I thought his father was a policeman, and that was as much as I knew about his story until he wrote it down and illustrated it. And then I had a much larger comprehension of like, oh, this is quite another level of stress that the family is under. So we have students who come to us, like I said, beautifully educated but don't know English, and then others who may or may not know their times tables. And we're entrusted with moving that work forward so that they have the opportunities to reach the American dream. Now I want to talk a little bit about the economic challenges of doing this. I'm on a budget committee in Oakland, and so I am also charged with going out and making California citizens aware of the budget situation. My counterparts in New York, the New York Public Schools, they have 3 times as much funding as I do, and 3 times as many adults in the schools to do the kind of work that our kids need and give the kind of supports. And so in comparable schools with the same students, the same numbers, they have counselors and vice principals and social workers, and that's just not available in California with the current funding crisis. And I wanted to give you a little piece of how does that play out in a school. So next year, assuming that the tax, that there are tax extensions here in the state of California, we are slated at the school site level to get $4,557 per pupil to educate them. And what are we required to pay for? My salary, my teacher's salaries, the custodian's salary, the lights, the water, all the supplies, the copy machine, the toner, all the books and the pencils, all the field trips, all the bus passes for students. And when you break that down for what does that look like on a day or hourly rate, the per hour allocation is $3.32 to educate a child in Oakland. And I pay my babysitter $15 just to make sure my kid doesn't drink Drano, and to keep him safe. And in California, we are asking teachers to do a tremendous amount of work and asking principals and custodians and school site officers to keep kids safe and clean and well prepared. And it is just not sufficient funding. So go out and vote. Pressure your political officials to fund schools. There is plenty of money in the state of California to do so. It is a matter of making it a priority. So that's my little plug for funding California schools. I'm going to let Sailaja talk really about technology and how we've been using it in the schools. And I do want to say thank you to Google Translate. With 29 languages in our school, I would be sunk without it. I constantly write notes in English and have them translated. And notes like your son is smoking behind the gym, or your daughter is coming to school late every day. And it's very helpful. I would never be able to do my job. So thank you.
Hi. My name is Sailaja Suresh. I am the founding math teacher and the technology coordinator at Oakland International. I'm here to talk to you a little bit about how we use technology at the school, and to also talk about some ways in which you can engage with the school beyond today's talk. When we started the school about 4 years ago, all of the technology resources we had at the school consisted of machines of varying ages and varying degrees of functionality that we had essentially scavenged from other schools that were closing down, and it was not pretty. To top it all off, that first class of students that we took in, a number of them were refugees who had never used a computer before in their lives. I mean, I distinctly remember teaching students how to use a mouse and the difference between left click and right click, which I still do to this day. And so the objective of our technology program is really to give students those basic skills, including keyboarding, but to also take them to a place where by the time they graduate, they can create and produce college-level work that will help them be successful beyond the doors of our school. So the technology electives that we provide our students at our school range from art, where students learn how to use Photoshop and InDesign and Flash, to computers, where they learn Microsoft Office, Google Docs, Open Office, Movie Maker, and then electives, where students do things like make websites, make blogs, learn how to animate in Flash, learn how to produce music using Reason and digital keyboards. So we have a wide variety of technology electives that we make available to our students. And none of this would be possible without the help of one of our local partners that provides us with refurbished technology. OTX West is the name of a nonprofit that takes donated computers from companies like Google and other large institutions. They refurbish them and they provide them to schools at low cost, so that we have actually been able to assemble 4 full computer labs for students to use on a drop-in basis. And students use those labs in all of their academic classes to produce work. But given the budget constraints that Carmelita was talking a little bit about, even these refurbished machines are probably out of our reach next year or the year after. I mean, it makes it so that our students will not have access to technology if we didn't have partners like OTX and if we didn't have money to allocate towards these resources. So, the other thing I wanted to talk about is the fact that we use Google Apps for education for just about everything. It has transformed how we work, not just as teachers with each other, but also in classes with students. I can't imagine teaching my class without it. I mean, we use Google Docs and Google Sites and Blogger and Gmail every single day in all of our classes. And all of my students can testify to the fact that they go to a Google form at the beginning of every class to start every class, and they check their email at the beginning of every class. And to be able to administer that from within our own domain at the school is hugely empowering for me. It has made all the difference in my ability to plan lessons and check students' work and make sure that students are on task. And so if any of you work on Google Apps, thank you. I am extremely grateful to you. I am also extremely interested in the other things that you are doing and other products that we might not know about that you believe could help us reach our students and help them gain the skills that they need to succeed after high school. So if you are interested in working with the school in any way beyond today's talk, there are a couple of different ways you can get involved. Perhaps the simplest way is Adopt a Classroom. This is a website where teachers are able to create accounts, and donors are able to provide any amount of money to that teacher to be used throughout the school year for projects that they need. The reason this is helpful is because teachers are able to design projects throughout the school year without the constraints of the budget cycle and the ordering cycles in the district. And they can access those funds and purchase materials at any point during the school year for the projects they need based on their students' needs. So they don't have to decide in September what project they want to teach in May based on where their students will be in April. They can decide in April, my students really need these skills, and this is the project I want to teach, and so these are the materials I want to buy. That's not something that teachers normally have the power to do, but this website empowers them to be able to have that flexibility to plan in that way. Another way that people can get involved, if you are interested in volunteering and actually working with students, for the next 3 weeks, I will be teaching a video game design class at Oakland International. It's the first time we've ever taught this class, and I'm very excited. It's based on a curriculum called Bootstrap, which some of you may know about. And it teaches programming in Scheme. So students actually produce a little video game over the course of the 3 weeks in pairs. I'm happy to have anyone volunteer 1 or 2 days or as many days that you're available over the course of those 3 weeks to help students learn how to code, learn how to debug, learn how to present their products to other people. And you know, if that seems like too much for you, you know, we're always looking for guest speakers to come in and talk to our students in the internship class, or people who would be willing to host a student for a day 1 or 2 times a year to be a job shadow. As many of you probably realize, most of our students don't have a lot of access to adults who work in the technology industry or adults who are professionals in general. And being available, even if it's only being available by email to be interviewed by a student, could have a huge impact on the trajectory of that student's academic career. I mean, they don't have other adults in their lives. They can ask questions to, like, how do you get a job at Google? Or what does an engineer do? They don't know engineers. They need adults in their lives who are not their teachers, who are not their parents, but who are professionals who are interested in opening the window to the world of possibilities that are out there for them if they continue their education, they continue to learn English, and try to find something to do that they love. So we're happy to talk to you about other ways you can get involved with the school. Feel free to ask questions at the end or share your thoughts or ideas. But I want to turn the microphone over to our students because they are 4 pretty amazing students who are here. And I really want you to hear their stories. So our first student speaker is Rahwa Muzollo. She's a 12th grader from Eritrea. Please give her a warm welcome.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me here. My name is Rahwa Muzollo. I am from Eritrea, that's in east of Africa. This year, I am grade 12 senior student in Oakland International High School. In our school, there is 61 senior students. 56 of them will attend in community college in 2-year or 4-year college for next year. in Oakland International School, it's very, very nice school for us as immigrant students because some of my reason to say this is the teachers, they help us in our vocabulary, everything in English as English learner students, besides the lecture that we should learn in class. Also for next year, I am planning to go to community college first, then to university. I want to study in pharmacies, to be pharmacy for future. I came to United States last year because I came to live in Eritrea. In Eritrea, the government didn't allow freedom of religion, and I want to have that. That's why I came to United States. I have big problems that I have to struggle with them since I came to United States. The first one is I came to United States alone. I don't have parents here, so I have to do a lot of things by myself to go to, such as finding school and also living in United States, everything. So as a teenager, that's difficult for me to do it. So, and also public school is it's free to learn everything, but for community college, since I didn't finish my immigration, I'm asylee at this time, so after I didn't finish it, I have to pay for that, so I have to think about that. I don't know how to do it. And my second struggle is learning English, because even I am learning in Eritrea some English, but I have to improve a lot here. Oakland International High School has helped me a lot to improve it, but still I have to improve it. And the first time when I came here, just 2 and 3 months, that was I was really shy at that time, because if I do mistake in my English, everything, people will laugh at me or something. So that's why I didn't speak at that time. But I struggle with myself. That's because if I didn't speak English, if I didn't practice it, then I will never can speak English in my life. So that was my struggle to do that. And also the third thing is lifestyle of this country. In this country, people, they can speak like freely for what they want to say, for people, for their teacher, everything. But in Eritrea, we cannot speak for older than us, people free, whatever you want, because that is a sign of respect if you didn't speak for people. So I have to change here, that I have to say what I want to get what's my need. So this was one of three. This was my 3 struggles in my life. Thank you so much for Google for giving us this opportunity, because this is very important for me, because this is one skill that speak in this big company workers. So thank you so much. Now I will transfer the stage to Ana, junior student in our school. Thank you for listening in silently.
Hi everyone, my name is Ana. I'm from Honduras, and I came to the United States because my mom wants a better future for me. So in my future, I would like to study for a nurse. First, I would like to go to a community college and then transfer it to university. But one of my biggest struggles that I have is that sometimes it's hard to get scholarships because I am an undocumented student, and because one of the best scholarships asks you for your ID number, and there's scholarships that it can help you, but not for everything. But it doesn't matter, because I will figure it out one way to pay my education so I can be an example for those undocumented students. And one of my hopes is to the President Obama help to the DREAM Act come true. The DREAM Act will provide me to financial aid, and it can apply for citizenships. Now I will Now we'll transfer to Omar. And thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Omar Gual. I am from Mexico, and I came to the United States to get a better education because in my home country, you have to pay a lot of money to be able to go to school, and it's really hard to find schools that will accept someone with low income like me. And most of the schools, they don't have good technology like computers, and if you want to go to those kind of schools, you have to pay more money. Something I wanted to talk about is the way I learned English, and that was by playing video games. I started playing video games like Mario, and then moved on to more challenging games like GoldenEye, 007, and The Legend of Zelda. The reason why these games were more challenging to me was because they were in English, and the games is based on doing what the characters ask you. So at the beginning, I didn't know what they were telling me, but then as I went through the game, I started to understand what the characters wanted me to do, and I also started to understand English, and that was helped me a lot.
Can I clarify something? This is when he was in Mexico. That's where he learned English, was playing video games.
The school in Mexico, it's really expensive, and when I was 12, when I was in 12th grade, I stopped going to school because I didn't have enough money to keep going to school, and also because I had to take care of my little brothers. When I turned 16, I went to adult school, which was a little different from the normal schools. In there, I went for 3 months to adult school, and after that, I took an exam that was worth for 3 years of school, and I passed my exams the first try. And this was a very good accomplishment for me because after not going to school for about 4 years and then passing those exams made me feel really good and give me a lot of hope. For my future, I am kind of confused because there are a lot of things that people can do. I want to be a scientist and a firefighter and a policeman, and and I'm not sure what should I start with. Now I would like to introduce Indra. Thanks for listening.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's my great honor to be here today, and thanks for having me. My name is Indra Karki, and I go to Oakland International High School. I have been in the U.S. for 2.5 years. My parents, they were from Bhutan, but they were forced to live as a refugee in Nepal for 17 years. I grew up in a refugee camp with a lot of different perspectives and thoughts. My dad, he used to work in school. My mom, who never went to school, had to stay home and help all refugees for survival, distribute foods and ration that he went provided us every 15 days. My parents, they were forced to leave from Bhutan because of political circumstances and laws. They are forced to, they are used as forced labor, as like a slavery. Their language and their culture was banned in Bhutan, in southern Bhutan for Nepalese-speaking people. They were chased from Bhutan in the year 1992. I was born in a refugee camp in 93 and almost whole life in a refugee camp. I can dream about a lot of things, but I can never hope it will come true. And there was, in the year 2008, there was a fire in the refugee camp, which made us live in the forest for 2 months under the tent, fighting with storm and wind and hard sun. And UN and the US government decided the refugees to resettle in different countries like Australia, US, Canada, and European countries. Luckily, I got a chance to come to California and live in Oakland and experience my new life and hope for my dreams. When I first came here, I didn't know how to turn on the computer. I saw a lot of holes and buttons on the computer, which was really confusing. When I saw people using the button, I did the same. I quickly gained the knowledge of using computers and internet. And as I started going to Oakland International High School, it changed the way I live, and I finally found what I love to do, is study computer science in college. This next fall, I will attend UC San Diego, and I hope to major in computer science. I'm also looking forward to work with Google after I graduate from college. And thanks for having us.
Hi. So I don't know if there's any questions, but I did want to say that it is amazing that technology can transform the lives of kids. When we opened, it was 2007, and that was a first wave of refugees who were coming out of Burma. At that time, they were mainly Karen speakers. And the next year, I went to go visit the refugee camps that they came out of, and they had no electricity, no running water, and had never seen a computer. They had never seen ice. I mean, like, they'd never seen a toilet, they'd never seen ovens, and so America was this very mysterious place. And so within a week of arriving, they come to Oakland International High School and see their first computer and touch their first computer, and Sailaja teaches them to double-click. And friends and family members that they thought were lost forever were found on the internet. Because what happens in refugee camps when there's resettlement is usually camps are dispersed across the planet. 100 refugees go to New Zealand, 100 go to Mexico, 100 go to Oakland, California, 100 go to England. And families and communities are broken up. And the students found their cousins and their former neighbors. And they couldn't believe it. And so within a week, they became very proficient at things like email and chatting. And it was really amazing for them. So I am sort of in awe of technology, and thank you guys for helping make it possible. If you have any questions for us or for the students, we can take them.
I just can't imagine how you can prepare people for college when they come here not knowing the language and possibly not having an 8th grade education. What can you say about that?
Sure. So like I said, we have students who come at all kinds of levels of education. The strongest predictor of how quickly you will learn English is how much formal education you have in your native language. And so if you have a strong educational background, most people can learn English and pass the state exit exam within about 4 to 5 years. That's a fairly normal trajectory. When you have gaps in your formal education, that challenge becomes much larger. However, well, in traditional settings where you might only have 1 or 2 hours of language instruction in a day, it becomes impossible. But because our school is structured to give students language acquisition skills in every class, so the art teacher, the science teacher, the PE teacher, the math teacher are building in language opportunities to read, write, and speak English. So you're not just teaching math, you're teaching literacy and math. It's 7 hours a day of straight English. And by really focusing in every class on English language acquisition, we can ramp up the opportunities for some kids that would otherwise be left behind. But we also have a lot of kids who go into the community college system, because when you immigrate at 16 or 17, even if you pass, in California, it's called the KC examination, most of them still need to work on their English, and a community college is a great place to do that and then to transfer. But then we have kids like Indra who are off to university. So we sort of support multiple levels of student achievement.
I'd love to hear from the students who are in the technology class what sort of a day in the life, or maybe some of your favorite days at in the technology class were.
What'd you learn? What'd you like?
This one too. I know you're in the class.
We haven't taken the class yet.
The video game class.
Oh, the computer class. I really like this class because it taught us a lot of things, like making videos and making presentations. And this is a very good class because it will help you a lot in the future after you graduate from high school and after you get out of university. It will help you in your work. And it will show that you know more things that the people expect you to do, and you can prove them that immigrants like us can still learn a lot of things like them.
Oh, the wiki. How can I start? Well, we have like choose a presentation, and I present about the wiki page. It was wonderful because I used to use computer, but not like now, and I know more, and I know that I can do more stuff, like import things. Like really, this year I really learned about technology, and that I never thought that I would learn. And thanks to Miss Sailaja, because I learned a lot to use the websites. How can I create things? And yeah.
One of the things that I will say about Sailaja's class is I always thought that computers were an isolating experience where you have your screen and it's just one-on-one. And with Google Docs and other technology, where there's collaboration between kids on projects, and the way we actually teach English is about collaboration. And so kids in all of their classes are working in groups. And I was like, I don't know how that's going to work in a computer lab where everybody's sitting in front of a computer. And Sailaja's like, no. They have all these things like Google Documents, and like 3 kids can be working on the same project at the same time, and they're talking to each other on the computer and like building things together. And I was like, really? And that was the first year that she was teaching technology. And then she's like, we can use this as a staff. I'm like, well, how does it work? And so now as a staff, we use Google Docs where the whole staff can see things like disciplinary referrals to the office and say, oh, who went to the office today and what'd they do? Oh, whose mother got called? And both and also we can see everybody's grades and how they're doing. And it has been a real learning tool for us as adults. And so kids are learning this new technology and the adults are learning the technology at the same time. And it's pretty cool. I think we're done. Yeah. We'll hang out afterwards if you want to talk to any of the kids individually. And otherwise, thank you so much for joining us.